Nothing stirs people up these days like Sam Sulek. Some people love him, some people hate him, and a lot of influencers want to offer him unsolicited advice. Here's why I think that is, and here's my 2 cents on Sam Sulek.
I analyzed every single Sam Sulek workout so far this year. He also trains to failure 96% of the time. His range of motion was very inconsistent. He'll usually start us at pretty close to full range, but then lose range of motion as he fatigues. I'd personally rather see him get the target muscle into a deeper stretch on more exercises.
So here's the first critique that Sam gets a lot, right, from all these influencers. More or less, he doesn't train evidence-based. They'd all like to see him doing more of this and more of that. Look, Jeff's a good dude, he's really smart, nothing against him, his advice is pretty sound. But I'm looking at Sam Sulek, and I get the feeling that he doesn't need any advice in the gym from you.
Oh, that pose is definitely cooler when I'm extra cut down.
It just kind of rubs me weird. It's like walking up to the biggest dude in the gym, opening my textbook to page 47 and going, "Excuse me, sir, but I think you should actually be performing your reps this way." And my main issue with it is that he does train evidence-based. He's training based on evidence of what works really well for him that he's discovered through his own efforts in the gym, which is what we should all be doing. If you're relying on influencers and textbooks and research papers to tell you how you should train without discovering it for yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice, and I think that's the wrong way to go about things in the gym. If Sam Sulek was to take all this advice that these influencers are giving him, perform his reps this way, perform his reps that way, do this instead of that, would he be any bigger? I don't think so. So it brings me to key point number 1. Sam is a walking example of how low the ceiling can be on all the evidence-based, science-based nuance. He's essentially in the gym doing the exact opposite of everything that they're preaching with their latest research. And it's turned him into an absolute monster. He's a walking example of how just going into the gym with raw intensity, some genetic potential, obviously some other things, can yield amazing results. Sam Sulek obviously has a God-given genetic disposition, a superpower, to recover from a ton of intensity in the gym and taking sets to failure. Why shouldn't he take advantage of that and reap the rewards just because you and your science-based evidence says he shouldn't do it? I don't think Sam's in the gym trying to check off on some evidence-based checklist. He's training in the gym with the raw intensity that he knows works for him, hitting his reps the way that he knows builds his body, and that's all that really fucking matters. So that's 1 point for Sam and 0 points for everyone critiquing his form in the gym and the way that he trains.
And so, yeah, Sam, very intelligent. And some of those videos that he first started making, they were very controversial. And with controversy comes more views. He was saying, hey, don't listen to somebody who's smaller than you. Somebody with a smaller physique you shouldn't listen to. Oh, in ego lifting, you should do that to put on muscle. You should ego lift. That's the exact opposite of what everyone knows that should be done. Ego lifting is not smart. Ego lifting is not proper. But yet Sam said that. He knows better, but yet he said it.
Man, I like Greg, but I wish he would back up from that camera a little bit. I can almost smell him. He's so goddamn close. All right, the second major critique that he gets all the time from people in the comments and from other influencers is that he's setting a bad example for his millions of followers that he now has, that he has some obligation to do certain things in the gym and in his lifestyle to set a good example for them. And I'm calling bullshit on that one too. Now that critique stems mostly from his diet.
Times is it now? 10-ish.
Yeah.
Took a huge nap after we got back from Five Guys.
Yeah.
So still got a little more calories left. Because right now I'm at about 4,700. Pretty much I want to hit at least 52-ish. 11 grams of fat, 22 grams of carbs in each of these. There's 3 grams of protein. So that plus, I don't know how large these cups are, but maybe 4 cups of milk.
And from his steroid use. Now look, I presume that most of you guys are free-thinking, somewhat intelligent human beings. Just because you see someone on the internet eating Five Guys cheeseburgers and drinking a gallon of milk every day, which I tried before, by the way, and I don't recommend, gained a shit ton of weight, but I felt like I was gonna die. Doesn't mean that you should replicate that. I don't care if you're young, if you're old. It's pretty dumb to see someone on the internet do something and think you should do it. That's your responsibility, not some influencer to tell you what you should eat, what you should put in your body. I don't think Sam or any other influencer really owes their followers anything other than the truth. Sam is showing people what he eats. That doesn't mean you should eat it. He doesn't really talk about steroids, but he definitely doesn't deny it. Everyone knows what he's doing, more or less. It doesn't fucking matter. People have no problem following Mike Israetel, Greg Doucette, and all these other guys who obviously use a ton of steroids, taking advice from them. But for some reason, they got something to say about Sam Sulek. I always say, if we lined up all these internet trolls in the comment sections of these posts and put them in a room, you'd have a room full of a bunch of scrawny, pathetic-looking people who are insecure and have nothing better to do than to troll people like Sam Sulek and other influencers because they're insecure. Sam Sulek is really more of a product of the modern fitness industry. All these influencers are on gear, most of them. Even the ones that say they're not, most of them are. So don't hate the player, hate the game. He's a product of the culture, or part of the culture. Most other people just don't look as good as him or as big as him. They don't train as hard as him in the gym, and that's the big difference and why they have something to say about it. So at the end of the day, I like Sam Sulek. I think he's an intelligent, really cerebral dude, the way he talks about training. He knows exactly what he's doing in the gym, and I like the way he trains with his raw intensity. He knows himself, which is really important for a lifter. We should all know ourselves in the gym. He knows what works for him. It's raw fucking intensity. He can recover from it and grow from it. He performs his reps in a way that works really well for him. And he shouldn't give a fuck, and probably doesn't give a fuck, what any of these other influencers or haters in the comments thinks. Why would he? I wouldn't. He's more or less a walking example, a walking contradiction to all the science and evidence-based stuff. He basically does the complete opposite in the gym and thrives on it. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, and they just don't like it. And obviously people piggyback on his success because it's clickbaity, it gets views, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But their critiques of him mostly, I think, are falling on deaf ears because he knows what he's doing and it's working. You know, I watch Sam train and I love the way he trains. There's nothing wrong with the reps he's performing. He knows exactly what he's doing for his own body. He doesn't need to follow some science-based, evidence-based checklist on his reps because what he's doing works for him. And there's a lot of other people that train that way too. Don't be fooled by all this evidence and research and stuff. It's good for a lot of people, but it's also not necessarily optimal for a lot of other people. You need to find that for yourself in the gym. That's your job as a lifter, to experiment on yourself, to find what works for you, and to ignore, for the most part, what anyone else tells you once you find it. Look, this is definitely not an attack on any of these influencers. I love Mike Israetel. I've learned a ton from him. I like Greg Doucette. I like Jeff Nippard and most of the other guys. It's just that their takes on some things are just wrong, and this is one I disagree with. A lot of the stances that they take, it is what it is. All right, if you guys disagree with my take on Sam Sulek, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, hell, even if you hate it, give me a subscribe. I'll be sure to make more just like it in the future, and you can tell me how much you hate my videos in the comments. See you next time.